a shout out to Lionesses for doing so well at the weekend and do what the men can do. So well done. I have one apology for absence. That's Vera Dale. She's on holiday. I haven't been there by the
I've also got council bus.
council bus. Okay. Any declarations of interest? Councillor Taylor?
Yeah, just a personal interest in item 12C.
12C. And Councillor S.
Yeah, wait, 12, which one I have to read.
Okay. Community interest. Any other interests? None. Okay. Public participation. Go on to that rather quickly. Nigel.
No agendas.
I do apologise. We should have printed some out.
I can give you a line with the
No, that's fine. I'm fine. What's happening with my complaint against staff, please?
I left it with you to contact myself, and you have not done so.
And they're very clear that the complaint was closed in my response to it.
Yes, no, I responded to that, Nigel. I think that's a matter for you to respond to my email.
No problem.
Okay.
I will do that tomorrow.
Thank you.
Point 6 of planning consents. How are you going to comply with the opening hours that are restricted to you on the schedule?
Something that we're looking at the moment is CCTV camera systems as an assistance to that.
Okay, how are you going to comply with this?
That is part of the compliance.
Until you get some form of answer, how are you going to comply with this? You are not complying with your planning consent.
Nigel, I'm not going to get into this debate tonight with you.
You're not going to answer the question, am I correct?
Obviously, I'm not going to answer in the way
That's
that
fine.
you feel
No.
facing. I was about to share with you what we were doing, but seeing as you've taken that tone, I'm deciding not to. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Chris.
Yes, I apologise. I'm giving you advance notice, other than that I'm here today, to update you in relation to the Ashborough SUE. Now, I gave you quite a long and drawn out presentation before on the work that Homes England were doing on the SUE and the submission of those three kind of key landmarks to Wrexham District Council most recently. In effect, the plan has not changed in the slightest. We still have ambition to amend the original outline planning application with minor amendments, as I mentioned before, as to account for larger drainage basins, for instance, a better layout of the link road being one of the other points. So that's still in play. However, what you may have seen, what your residents may have seen, is that two new applications have popped up on the Wrexham system. They are, in effect, a structuring plan and design code, and they have been submitted in order to keep the outline planning commission alive, with no intention whatsoever of implementing them. However, you can't ignore the fact that they're on the system. So I wanted to address that with you as a town council. You're not going to be consulted on the two applications. Wrexham feel that on the basis they're not being implemented and everyone's focus is on the ones that I presented to you before, where we're maintaining that focus, regardless of the fact that two other applications have been submitted. I've already gone through at length in that presentation the benefits really of the applications that we brought forward, and why we're sticking to that and why that's our focus at the moment. What you see now in this most recent submission is us basically accounting for the fact that the technical work that's been undertaken has taken slightly longer than we had originally planned, and therefore in order to keep that planning commission alive, we've got to submit something that complies with the original planning commission, even if bluntly with no ambition of delivering that. So I hope that's quite clear. As I say, you're not being consulted on it, so some of you are probably sitting there thinking, I haven't even seen them yet. But in reality, they do exist. They are on the system. As with all of these things, someone can look it up. They may well have questions. Now, you can do, you can put all of that pressure on me and send them my way. But in reality, sometimes they're going to email you as town councillors, and even if dual hatting as a district councillor as well. So I'm happy to take any questions on that. It has muddied the waters ever so slightly, but I assure you what we presented on, we are looking to deliver, and what's been submitted most recently with no intention of implementing, it's purely an administrative submission. Does that make sense? I've flown through that, I appreciate, but
I'll give an opportunity to councillors to ask any questions. No?
yes.
I presume Brecon not voting on it.
Yeah, I think it's more of a formality than anything else because it's retaining guideline plan permission, so we don't have the technical stuff.
If I may say so, because we submitted the plans that we sort of hope to carry out earlier than the ones we've just submitted, they'll be determined and those other applications will be dropped.
Okay.
So they'll be withdrawn at a point in time. Now, we're talking about a matter of a couple of weeks here. We're looking at the determination of the applications that you were presented on and that you've considered within the next 2 weeks, at which point those applications will drop away. But it will be remiss of me not to mention that they're there and they exist.
That's very
helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, queries, comments? Yes.
How was the parking problem, the 3 hours? I found that I don't have to park here because I live near enough, but it would be impossible, and I have to find it, for me to have my hair done and go to the chemist. Equally one, they don't take any difference in time. So I can't do that in 3 hours. And I just wondered if, and it must, I can't be the only one, and I don't have to drive. So it doesn't affect me, but it must affect others.
It has been a point that's been raised by several people. Brecon have a portal open on their website where you can give comments on that, which we'd encourage you to do because it will add to the voice and flavour of it. That has also been raised directly by ourselves with Brecon, and they are aware that that is a potential issue. The consultation is yet to complete, and even at the end of the trial period, there were a period where they mull over that. There is news coming in relation to car parks, but that hasn't been released publicly yet. So watch this space. Okay. Anyone else? No? Okay. Item 5, the minutes of our last full council meeting held on the 4th of July. Any comments, queries? Yes, Councillor Ray.
Item 046.22, bottom of page 2, on the motion of Councillor Lane, taken by Councillor Dale, resolved to ask the Christmas Lights Committee to sub a request for total cost. So I don't know if that's because it's the end of the page, but the total costs, I think what we were asking for was like with the Fun Fest, where they ask for what we're, what donation they want.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah, rather than,
discussion,
it doesn't actually, because there's not a full stop, there's not a full stop after that. I don't know, but anyway,
It does look like there's a bit missing off the end, doesn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Noted. Councillor Taylor?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I have listened to the recording of that myself, and while I am in agreement that that might have not been the intention of the resolution, that is the resolution that was put forward.
I'd have to dispute that because that is different to, I think anybody can. I know you have an interest in this particular matter, so I'll have to be careful taking your advice on this as well. And also, you were the one who I think raised the point about it being a sum rather than it broken down costs. So, certainly from my recollection, what Councillor Lane was, we can put it to councillors to vote on the minutes, obviously. I think Councillor Lane has made a valid point from the conversation. Councillor Lane, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I watched the recording just before coming out for the second time. But way it's minted here is exactly what happened. Whether it's supposed to, you know, whether Councillor Lane meant the full costs or not, I don't know. But that's what she did say in the meeting.
Yeah, I think really you will take a vote on it. That's a simple way of dealing with it. But I think the understanding is that we deliberately got quotes to make sure that the funding that was available had been gone through due process. And then the idea of having those quotes was to say, right, now we know what that sum is. We would be looking for the committee to come to us and say we would like a contribution, and then we would be quite understanding what that figure is, and we'd have a basis in which we could offer. How that came about in the minutes, I think the whole cost, I think, is not right. It was, we were looking for a contract. The Christmas Lights Committee come to us saying they would like a contribution, and we, in our right mind, had got a due diligence quote of the work required, so we'd be quite happy to know what that figure would be. So that's my understanding of the discussions, and the minutes don't transmit that.
I just want to say that the Councillor Lane actually asked for the full costs of the lights at the last meeting.
That certainly wasn't what was agreed from recollection. Councillor.
The conversation was about the fact that we support local events and obviously want to support Christmas lights. And the idea was put forward that, as with the FunFest team and other local events, that the Christmas Lights Committee come to us and say, we are requesting this figure, and we give them that figure, or don't give them, depending on how we vote, and they go away and do whatever they like with it. But we needed to know a figure. At no point was it ever discussed that the town council should pay for every single thing to do with the Christmas lights. If that is the perception that various people have had from the minute, from the recordings, which I've watched as well, that's fair enough. But I would strongly object to this in the case of the Christmas lights. We really want to support them, but we have to show due diligence with the finances of the community, and we cannot be expected to just hand over money in a drip situation, which is how we've been operating in the past. So it's much better for the Christmas Lights Committee to come to us and say, can we have X amount? And we say yes. Total costs would be, they could put a figure towards us of 20,000 or whatever it is, and we could say yes or no. And then they wouldn't have to go to the community asking for extra money. They wouldn't have to do any fundraising towards the Christmas lights. But my personal view is that if that was the situation, then the town council committing that amount of money with no understanding of where the money's going would not be helpful. My opinion.
I think it's disingenuous for anybody who was at the meeting last month to suggest it was anything other than what Councillor Lane said. I would think it would be that. Councillor Taylor, you don't have an interest in this, so I'm not going to give you what it's
I was just going to make the point that I've also listened to the minutes in detail. I agree with Councillor Taylor and Councillor Wenham in the wording. I have listened to the wording. However, it was very clear that's not what Councillor Lane meant. If you listened to the conversation before, but as Councillor Taylor said, the conversation doesn't matter, the wording of the motion matters. So I think if councillors don't agree, the best course of action would be to make a motion to discount Councillor Lane's motion and move forward from there.
That's also a possibility as well. So yes. I can hear you as long as it's not specifically about this, because you do have an interest in this, and I have to be having impartiality on the council.
Okay, so firstly, I can still speak on it. I just think you have to vote on it. So I don't understand why they're saying that. Secondly, I feel like if that is the view of the council, that if you have a personal interest in the amendment excluded from discussion, which you have every right to participate in, then I'm probably just going to leave now, so I don't see why I'm going to waste my time sitting here for the rest of the meeting. And thirdly, Big Half is right, that is the proposal that's put forward, and maybe members should just be a little bit more careful in how precise their motions are in the future to avoid this happening again.
That's a fair
If there's a
point.
discussion and you want part of that discussion to be portrayed in the motion, include it in the motion, because otherwise it's not.
Okay. So, well, it's before the council to make a decision on this. We have a couple of options to do this. Obviously, the motion itself hasn't relayed the information that was to the council's agreement at the last council meeting, for those who were part of this. Am I right in gauging? Going to just have an indicative show of hands on this. How many of you thought we were going to pay the full costs of Christmas lights following the discussion and the motion last month? I presume, by show of hands, that you believe it was a contribution towards the lights. You do believe that? Yeah. If you could just indicate such, if you're at the meeting. Okay. So we have two ways of doing this. There is one within the minutes, and there is a separate motion to clarify that position under these extraordinary terms. Yes. So, which is the best way? I'm going to defer to the clerk on this one a little bit. If you have an opinion on this.
I would make a special motion to undermine Councillor Lane's motion.
Okay. Are you happy with that, Councillor?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. If anyone would like to propose that motion be stricken from the records. Councillor Smith seconded and show hands for approval. And against one, opposed, abstained. So, yes, I know you have an interest in it. Okay. Thank you. Anything else on the minutes themselves?
Can I ask, limited in this one's minutes, that we do support the Christmas lights and we want to help them?
Well, later we have under 12C, is it? 12C?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do under 12C, we have that particular point which we can make a motion at the relevant time, because that's the part we can discuss. Okay, so any other comments on the minutes? Yes.
Actually, on the minutes, but on the agenda, item 5 is listed of minutes of the annual town council.
Oh, right, yes.
That obviously doesn't need.
That's a copy and paste issue.
It's a copy and paste
Yeah.
issue, but I want to ensure that it doesn't get copy and pasted to the minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, that's
Yeah.
fine. Thanks for
Sorry
picking
about
up on
that.
that.
Thank
So on the minutes with that exclusion of the motion noted, does anyone propose acceptance of the remainder of the minutes? Councillor Lane, Councillor Smith, second, and show hands for approval.
I'm abstaining because.
One abstention, any objections?
So,
Abstain as well. Okay, right. Which is why it's important we do check these things through. So yeah, absolutely. Okay, item 6, which is the co-option of a new councillor. We have a vacancy. We have 2 candidates. In the interest of ladies first, Tina Jury, would you like to come into the hot seat and give us a brief introduction to yourself?
Hello, good evening to everybody. Lived around this area. My name is Tina Drew. I've lived in this area since 1968, since I was a little girl. I've watched it grow. Should I read out what I've actually wrote?
You're very welcome to. I know it's a nerve-wracking situation.
It
to be
is, yeah.
said. So, you're very welcome if you want to first notes.
I am used to talking plenty and talking to people. it's been a long time. I've had to write about myself, and it seems quite selfish actually to just keep reading all this out about me. But anyway, I'd like to say I'm here this evening because I'd like to be considered in becoming a town councillor. Many people have asked me why I haven't applied before and why not now. I now feel I have a lot to give and I'll be able to help. I have 2 children that are grown adults now and have their own lives, and I have some time to be able to help with our community, of which I have a strong passion for, especially now that it is growing and we have so many new people and much more diversity in this area. I will now tell you a little about me and my life. I went to school in Attleborough and was one of the rare ones that enjoyed it. I enjoyed learning and I also enjoyed being with my classmates. After leaving, I worked for a company that is called Marshall's Insurance Brokers, the Thompson Stevens now. It was called something else then, but it was changed into that. It was a very good company to work for and I was very happy. As the years went by, I decided to learn and do something different. So I became a marketing manager for a company we've all heard of, Guinness. And I had a very large area to cover and quite a few staff. My area included North London, Essex, Suffolk and Norfolk. I got to know so many pubs and so many areas. It was fun and it was also hard work, but I wouldn't have changed it. After Guinness, I settled down and had my children, of which I absolutely adored being a mum, much to a lot of people's eyes. However, I was offered a position working with children with problems when my children were young. The sort of problems that these children are damaged and been badly treated and neglected. And I really enjoyed that job. I adored the boys I looked after, feeding them, sending them off to the shower after football and tucking them in bed, then writing lots of paperwork and explaining their days individually to the parents and the school managers, then off home to see mine in bed. I now work as a beauty therapist and manager part-time in a hair and beauty salon. It works well as my husband is downstairs and we meet up for coffee in our staff room as I am upstairs doing the beauty therapy. My husband Keith first started this salon when he was very young, and it has now been going for about 45 years. And our daughter Sienna also works with us. I enjoy meeting all clients and hearing their stories and views of life, especially now the new houses are going up. Of course, many are worrying about the infrastructure, especially as you can imagine the doctor's surgery, which actually brings me to the last place of work before I went back to college. I worked as a receptionist on a front desk, first in line on most of my shifts. Health is a passion of mine, not just that I stick to religiously. My interest is in hospitals and doctors' surgeries, how they work and the marvellous work most doctors do. I know the people in Attleborough are very worried as they find it so difficult to get appointments. Hopefully things will improve. I hope I haven't bored you too much about myself. I just wanted you to know how diverse I am and how interested I am in people, and I'm good with people. And I'd like to be interested in anything like to do with health, housing, that sort of type of thing, so that I have the answers. It would be nice, and I'd be very interested in that type of work. But, you know, you can ask me any questions, because I'm sure there's lots of without, and you'd like to know if you're interested.
Thank you, Tina. No, I appreciate taking the time to explain it. Councillors, anyone got any questions? You've been good today.
I'll
Let's
ask
go
one.
and go
I'll
on
just,
with it.
I'll be awkward. You. Thank you. So what would you say is the thing that Attleborough Town Council should be focusing on most at the moment?
Well, I'd say the surgeries is very important because people just cannot get an appointment. You know, in no time, the notice is up saying, you know, you have to to get in touch the next day or whatever. Of course, I know that you can get in touch with emergency and that type of thing. And I know the doctors will see you if, you know, you really need to be seen. But there's so many people that, you know, are worried. They need answers about certain things and they just can't get them. You know, it is a big worry to them. So, you know, they obviously need a lot more doctors. And I also know, because obviously I have contacts still in the surgeries, and I hear a lot of doctors are leaving the next few weeks. And that is quite scary. There's one good thing, I think, I shouldn't say this, but what Rishi said the other day is when people keep on just not turning up for appointments, they should be charged a small fee. Now, whether you agree with that or not, but when I've worked there, there's sometimes nearly 180 a month not turn up, which is incredible. But, you know, that's not for me to say, I should be charged, really. But, you know, it's pretty annoying when so many people are desperate and they can't get these appointments. I am also interested in the new developments in the houses and obviously the infrastructure that's going to come with it. You know, I think everybody is, to be honest. It's not just me, is it? But you know, but I just love Attleborough anyway. I've been here many years, and like I said, I've grown up here. Yes, I have travelled to other places, and that I'm not going to stay here all the time, but you know, most of the time, and my family were here. So, you know, I have a passion for it. That's all I'd like to say.
Just quickly, if I may, yes. You aware of the neighbourhood plan? Yeah, the Attleborough neighbourhood plan. You aware of it?
No, what plan is that?
Well, it should be on the website. So,
oh, really?
yeah, it takes too long to explain.
Oh, does it?
So I just wondered whether you were aware of it.
No, is it to do with the?
It's about the development.
About the developments, right? Yes, yes. I have been away, so I've not, you know, but it's probably been there a little while, hasn't it? Yes, I know that. I do know that there are going to be, or there is going to be some kind of surgery. I do know that there's going to be other facilities, and there's meant to be a supermarket, etc. But people hear this, they don't know much about it. You know, they don't know where it's going to be, when it's going to be, etc. Perhaps they don't need to yet, I don't know, but they do. They are concerned about it, which is very natural.
No,
So-
absolutely. In fact, we don't have all the answers to those questions ourselves at the moment, and we're working for it. At next month's council meeting, we've got a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
Developing the argument for improved healthcare within the community.
Mm.
So that's next month.
Yes.
It's something that we feel very passionate about. So thank you very much for that.
Okay.
Now, you're very welcome to grab a seat while we listen to Dominic Sosa, if you want to take your turn.
Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So my name is Dominic D'Souza. I'm 43 years old, married with 2 young children, lived in Attleborough pretty much all my life in the surrounding areas. I currently work for Anglian Water. I'm a customer manager there. Been doing it over 10 years. My role is to help customers with any issues that they have. We focus on vulnerable customers, such as offering them advice and support primarily on their bills and anything to do with their finances. But we also signpost our vulnerable customers to organisations that can also help them, such as Step Change, Citizens Advice, Christians Against Poverty, and the Salvation Army. So we do lots of work with helping our customers. So I'm very passionate about that. That's part of the reason why I applied for this role, to help people in our community, which I'm also very passionate for. I was educated locally at Wyndham College, which I thoroughly enjoyed. My interest in sport. I support Norwich Football Club and season ticket holder there, in the Sins. And obviously, before we had children, wife and I like to travel a lot, but we don't do that so much now. We're raising a family, So that takes up a lot of our time, but we're extremely grateful for Attleborough. We really love the town. It's helped us a lot. And we did community work already in the church, Christ Community Church, which my wife's a leader at. She helps the children's church, and I volunteer there as well on Sunday to help as well, which is really fun. So that's what we do for the community. We're extremely grateful in the last couple of years for the community's help as well. We had a baby during lockdown, which was quite hard, and the baby was in hospital for quite a while, so that was a difficult time. And we are very grateful for the community who rallied around and supported us with emergency babysitting and providing hot meals when we came back from long days at the hospital. So I want to give something back to the community now, which is my time and my expertise in certain areas. Before I worked for Anglia Water, I've worked for Norfolk County Council. I was a training standards officer and animal health inspector during the foot-and-mouth crisis and swine fever outbreaks. What that involved was working with farmers and people who had livestock and advising them of the government legislation during foot-and-mouth, primarily focusing on biosecurity. It was a very hard time for people in this county, heartbreaking seeing their livelihoods destroyed. So again, that's something that I'm passionate about, is agriculture and the environment and climate change as well. I think we owe it to our children, our future generations, to be sustainable, and I would like to sort of educate and help people with that as well. That's a big passion of mine. I also work in the Planning and Transportation Department at Norfolk County Council before I was a training standard. So these are areas that I'd hopefully like to help people with within our town. As I say, I'm very passionate about our town. Lived there a long time, and we don't ever see ourselves moving. That's how much we like Attleborough. I had all this written down.
That's all right. You know what? Sorry. You don't have to make it too long. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. And you know what, councillors, if you've got any questions, Dominic, you're welcome to Debbie again.
I'll ask the same one to you. What's the most important thing that you think we should do with that campaign?
Obviously, Attleborough's increasing. We know this, getting bigger. I think on everyone's mind is transportation. How do we get around Attleborough? We're a small town in terms of the town centre. And I have this discussion with many business owners in the town who I'm friends with. How can we make it so that our businesses are not affected? Our roads are freely flowing, so people can get there. Our customers can come to Attleborough and do business. So I'm also a big supporter of local businesses. So I have friends who have businesses in Attleborough. So transportation and local businesses, I would suggest, are big issues for the town. Can I also just say, sorry, I was going to say something else. The reason I've applied to be a councillor, it's always been an idea in my head, but with everything that's happened recently in the world, that's always stopped me from applying. I was recently at a church fete at St Mary's Church here, where I got married 6 years ago, and a friend of my wife said to me, "Oh, you should apply to be a town councillor." And I said, "Well, why is that?" And she said, "People gravitate to you, they talk to you, and you listen and you talk back to them." And I think that's what I do for work. So maybe that's perhaps why. And I haven't really thought about it. So that was the push that I had, and it was somebody else sort of pushing me forward to do it, and that's why I applied. So I think it's opportunity.
No, I think most people in the room would have a question. Yes.
Excuse me. I can just ask a quick question. I mean, you've had varied backgrounds. Local politics at this level is very complex. Well, actually, no, it's not. It's very, very simple. Somehow people make it complex.
Yeah, that's so true.
In terms of your experience, have you got a good understanding of how the key stakeholders work, so like Bangor was with the other utilities,
Absolutely.
and how all the other agencies work. So as we do go through the town growth, and we only have a limited power base, would bring in some knowledge to them.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, water's obviously a massive thing at the moment with climate change and fires, the dreadful fires that we've had in the area. So it's a precious resource and one that we need to obviously keep and get people to love every drop. So yes, I'm aware of obviously the issues there. I'm also part of the Anglia Water Emergency Response Team. So when we get critical incidents such as the Beach to the East a few years ago and any localised flooding, I do some strategic planning for that. So we have control room and we have people coming to help with that and do the resourcing, the tankers, and to make sure we have the right people in the right places.
Yeah, could I just ask the same question for the sake of equality? Are you aware of the Attleborough neighbourhood plan?
I am indeed, yes, the ANP, it's the extra, is it 8,000 houses that we're getting between here and, sorry, 4,000.
That's okay.
It's been a long day.
Unless you some guidance.
Yes.
It won't be,
Yes, I am well aware of the ANP and the growth that the town will be having, potentially doubling in size and potentially the increase in vehicles that will have.
Thank you. And thank you very much. You're very welcome to grab a seat as we go to the next stage.
Thank you.
Thank both candidates for sharing, raising valid issues that we feel passionately about too. So, both transport, business, economy, healthcare, and the infrastructure to support our population. They're essential. They're integral to the future prosperity of the town. So thank you for that. The next stage of this is nominations. Just to explain the process before we get into it for the sake of candidates there. To receive a nomination, you must have a first nomination and a seconder. If you get a second nomination, it goes to a vote, which you will do in alphabetical order by surname, just so we get it the right way. And the person with the most votes and the majority of the council, so they have to get a majority of the council sitting in the chamber, will be nominated a councillor. Councillors get an opportunity to vote for one candidate. And that's the process. So I'll put it to councillors if anybody would like to make a nomination, please. Councillor Smith, you were quickest. Dominic, Councillor Wenham.
Tina Drury.
Tina.
I'll second Tina.
Tina, second, and second Dominic. That's right, Dominic. So you've both been nominated for the vote. By order of surname, I believe it is Tina Jordan, so you'll be going first.
And I think that would be.
Sorry?
They should go with the year.
It's usually by surname. I've done it in the past by surname, so I'm going to keep consistent.
No, just Susan.
It's true, actually. But I'll put it down as so. Okay. All right. So Tina has been nominated as a member of this chamber and a councillor to Attleborough Town Council. If I could see a show of hands for approval, please.
Who we vote for? Tina.
Tina. Okay, so that is 4. Can we make a note of that, please?
Yes.
And the second nomination is for Dominic Sosa. Could I see a show of hands for approval? 5, 6. Okay, of the sitting members we have here, we have 6. We have 11 officers, have I done the maths right? So 6 would represent a majority of councillors. So Dominic De Sosa, you are nominated and elected as a councillor. What I will say to Tina is, we need people like you on the council too. I didn't vote because as chair I try and keep impartial to this. But I see the validity of both your applications. We unfortunately have a turnaround in the council for councillors. And undoubtedly there'll be another application or a vacancy at some point. Please, we will let you know when this is available. Please apply again because we need good people and you're both good people. So we really do appreciate it. Your husband's trying to give you the hopes, I'm sorry. I won't no, thank you very much. It's a very brave thing to do.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. And Dominic, you're very welcome to join us at the table. If we just Taylor's. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Thank you
Have you got an agenda?
I don't know.
Michelle, have you got the agenda?
No.
Whereabouts? Oh, that's very kind. Thank you.
So what I will say, Dominic, is welcome to our team. There is a process that we have to go to Brecon Council on for the full application. It will require a signature on our document to verify that we can do this. Until you sign that document, which we don't have with us tonight, you are not legally a councillor. So you're welcome to participate in the conversation this evening, but not quickly throw it out. Okay?
I think I've said enough. I'm happy to sit back.
Okay, so you feel free to participate. Okay, next item on the business is item 7, and that's the Lamont. Sorry.
Yes, the meeting.
The quotation repairs. I'm going to hand the time over to our clerk for a few moments, just give a bit of a preface to this.
So we're all aware of the issues at Lowman Road around roundabout with the cracking of the wet bore. The first page that I've put on is just for a little bit of background. That is our recent ROSPA report. So we have an inspection every year on various equipment and we repair or make changes or whatever is needed as a result of that report. So I thought that was useful to put in. You've got 3 quotes here. 2 of these on their site visit also suggested that really we need to consider replacing the roundabout. Our safety report doesn't necessarily say it needs replacing, but it does say that it's tired, it needs maintenance, it needs taking apart, it possibly needs new bearings and things like that. So as well as the quote for the wet bore, I've also added the quotes that were sent for the replacement roundabout for councillors to consider if they'd like to take this opportunity to add an accessible roundabout or whether you'd rather us look at repairing the old one again.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Any questions? Yes.
What's the main difference between getting a new one to repairing the old one? Is there a massive difference financially? Is one going to be a lot better quality than the other? What is the main difference between the 2 options?
Sorry, Councillor Smith, you want to go on that?
No, well, sort of just connected with how old's the existing roundabout.
It's been in there for, when was that stage built?
It's quite an ancient park now, I would say,
20 years?
actually.
I live on the estate actually.
It's about
20 years, I think.
Yeah.
20 years. It's got to be close to that. Yes.
So
Yes, Councillor.
if this is fit for purpose at the moment, it's right, it needs maintenance to the roundabout.
Yes.
So,
But it could potentially be repaired, which I could look at.
so the potential is to repair it, and then what life expectancy would it have then with the repairs that we put in at the moment? We've got to pay for repairs, and how long will it be before it is going to actually finally need replacing?
That's a bit of a hound's piece of string.
Yeah,
Every
so-
year they come and assess them and they'll comment on what needs replacing or fixing this time. So
One other question, do we have a budget for this?
we do have a budget for programming.
That's the time.
I think just following through that exercise, I know you don't have quotes on what it would be to repair, but it can be done quickly. To say, if it was repaired, and we've done the inspection and that, and as Councillor Lane said, you know, that can be 5-10 years, and what's the normal expectancy of the new one? But to not delay it, if we can have a vote of giving discretion, you know, if we agree in principle, this is a suggestion to the chair of the councillors, find a way to speed things up, or look at that, have to come back, or via email, but make some decisions like to get the whole thing working on. Worst case scenario is this, if we find a better option. So,
Yes, I'm aware there's a few comments. I'll go to Councillor Bond, Councillor Smith and Councillor Lane in our order.
It was, yeah, I just looking at it, it's not only just the replacement of, if you decide to replace the existing, it's also making it accessible roundabout. And to my mind, that's an improvement. So I think as long as we're within the budget that we have for equipment, we should improve. And we should go for an accessible roundabout as well as the repair to the surrounds the currently platform.
Just to give you an idea, to come back to one of your first points, which links into the conversation. There's a fitting charge. I'm just looking at the online playgrounds one here. An installation charge of around about £1,700–1,800. That I would imagine would be similar to sort of maintenance, if not a little higher on the maintenance side, to fully strip down into the department. So the difference on the roundabout is a like for like one is around about 6,200. An accessible one is about 7,700. So that's the difference we're talking about. Maybe a little less when maintenance is thrown into this and everything else. So that's the difference we're talking about. And kind of minded to agree with Roger on the accessibility point. Councillor Smith and Councillor Lane.
I'm trying to get my head around because there's so much on these plans.
Yes.
But am I right in thinking, whatever happens, we've got to have the wet bore
Absolutely.
fixed replaced.
Yeah.
But if we go and have the wet bore fixed / replaced, will that affect us having a different roundabout at a different time? I.e.,
Yeah.
is it
Yeah.
I know what you're saying Ed, about doing this quickly, but I'm just wary that we say, yeah, we'll go and do this, we'll get it done quickly, and then 6 months down the line, we're spending more money because we've just spent some money that's fact we ripped up the place and moved the roundabout. I think we need to consider a bigger picture rather than just get it done quickly.
Yeah, so essentially what they're saying is the wet bore, the way they fit the wet bore, the amount of space the wet bore covers will vary from roundabout to roundabout.
Yeah.
And that actually the most expeditious way would be to do them together if you were minded
And
to do
that's
that.
what I was
Yeah.
thinking. And I absolutely completely agree with Roger about getting an accessible one. It makes sense, you know, for another £1,000. If we've got a 20-year-old piece of equipment that's failed, let's get a new one and let's do it properly.
It's in line with what we're doing around parks in the town. It will be another issue of resolve, but also improved upon for accessibility, which is something that's we're making. Councillor Lane.
Yeah, I would agree with Councillor Smith and Councillor Bond on this one in that, yeah, if we are doing work now on London Road and we're looking at all the open spaces and parks for the children and also making it accessible for all. And as Councillor Smith has pointed out about the flooring, or what do we call it? It's called wet floor. But my thing is, if we have a budget, if this comes within our budget to do the whole job, then I would be happy with that. I think if it was going to push us over what our budget is for the year, then we would need to question it on the general maintenance.
It's difficult to answer your specific question on budget because we've only just got the hospital reports in and they're this big. So there's a lot of information to go through and work out what needs repairing. I can find you some more data on that. But we do
knowing
have,
the budget that we have and looking at the cost on this and the anticipation of the works we're doing elsewhere, I would say this is within budget to do so.
I would say that we've got enough money to choose to do
You're
it.
saying to replace it.
To replace it. And give you an idea, the most cost effective one of the three is the online playground, it's 7B. And for the inclusive roundabout and servicing is £14,406.53. And that's the price. There's the figure at the bottom, including VAT, which we claim back as a council anyway. So that's the figure. The cost for just doing the surfacing, it comes in at around about, well, only part of the surfacing, to be honest, is around about 4,321. But there's a lot more included in this part for remedial work on that site. I'm kind of minded to get the job done right, rather than just having, as Ed says, delays on this. This is a part that we want operational as quick as possible. So, Councillor Smith and then Councillor McKinnon.
The online playgrounds quote was reasonably clear. Now I've sort of worked out between option 1 and option 2. Whitstead, are Whitstead just pricing up on the place for the website? I'm pushing it.
They're also, on my understanding from this, is actually they are not talking about a full replacement, they're talking about overlaying the existing wet floor. Now, we've had repairs done to this wet floor before, and my experience is that repairing wet floor doesn't tend to last that well.
And that was going to be my other points, that when you look at the Whitstead quote, which is very, 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 you compare it to the OLP second page of theirs, where they go into a massive amount of detail on what they're doing to the wet floor. It does sound a little bit more detailed, and I have a little more trust in it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remain impartial, but there does seem quite an obvious one today. I'm sorry. Sue.
No, I was going to say the park itself, the remainder of the play area is open. We've just fenced off the one piece of equipment. So as far as getting it up and running, there's a lot of equipment they can still use there. I think my question would be, would it all have to be closed while the repair stroke in place? Or could that be done sort of behind barriers and what have you?
I think that would be down to the risk assessment that they do when they come on site, but I can't imagine they'd be on site for more than a day or two.
Right, okay.
Sharon will be able to answer this one. Does this cover all required wet floor repairs, or is it just a roundabout?
It
You can only get stung on. There's another bit that needs doing somewhere else.
No, it should do, I believe, cover so many bits of paper, I don't know.
Yeah, it's there are several areas that need doing on that site, which are detailed in the quotation. It does mention, I see at least two.
There's a bit under the, I can't find it, but there is a little bit under the climbing frame.
Yeah, it's just that you've got the maintenance estimate in first, the 4381.53, and then you've got the quotation for the roundabouts, and then at the end it's similar roundabout servicing, inclusive roundabout servicing, and it's just making sure that servicing covers everything that's needed, rather than just the roundabout servicing.
I believe it does, but that is a good point to clarify.
Any other questions? Councillor Lane.
I just say, I think if we're going to do it, might as well do it properly and with the money we're investing in.
Shall we, on that, want to move on, so we're going to talk about it endlessly? I like there seems to be a consensus on the knocking of heads and people who've made comments. If there's a proposal that we go with online play with the accessibility roundabouts or island, whatever they call it, and to include the repair work as well, then that gives license to the clerk to ensure that this is done. And if there are any queries, I'm sure she'll come back to us and clarify. So, if we'd like to propose, second by Rees, and a show of hands for approval. Unanimous. Thank you very much.
Should have asked this earlier. What's the lead time? Sorry, I forgot to ask it.
No, it's, no, listen. I know everyone's busy doing this kind of stuff, and I don't keep you busy doing this, but I'm sure we can find out.
I'll find out, yeah.
Report back to councillors. Okay. Item number 8, benches proposal. We are, on a letter from the clerk explaining the benefits of on benches, is that right?
Yes, so we agreed that we were going to buy these benches some time ago in environment, and for some reason only the picnic benches made it to full council for sign off. So we bought all of those, but we didn't actually agree on the specific model of normal bench that you would like. So it's just so that I can put these in, really.
Benches with backs.
They are benches with backs, yes.
Okay, now this is going to be down to preference. There's 4 designs of benches in here. They are slightly different widths, so do have a look at the detail. They are slightly different prices. I believe they are all made from recycled materials, plastics. They're all made from recycled plastics, and they all come with significant warranties, and they're durable as a result of this. So it's really down to which ones do you like? Yes, Sue, you've got an opinion on this. I like it.
Are we expected to have the same benches for each location, or is there sort of likely that different benches would suit different locations?
Well, I don't have a vote, obviously, but my thoughts were that you may want to go slightly more traditional in the cemetery than other places, but that's completely up to council.
That's my thoughts.
Okay. Yes,
I agree with Councillor McKinnon and Clark in that, for example, bench during supply of 3, more traditional looking bench, having armrests at either side, I think would appeal to those less able, which is for the cemetery, for example, where you've got elderly people visiting graves, give them somewhere safe to sit. Having said that, the bench without the arms on would appeal as well to mums with prams, because they could pull the pram up at the edge, you know. So I think, I know it's awkward, but yeah, I think we need 2 different designs.
Councillor Smith.
Yeah, got a length for bench 1.
I can see a length. It's also, I think, the most expensive.
It is. But benches,
I think they're all about 1.6.
They are about 1.6, yeah. There's a seat length and total length. It's around,
yeah.
They got a large bench option.
it's a standard bench option, supply to. So, anyone going to?
Shall I drive in then? I think if I make a proposal then for the cemetery more traditionally type.
Bench 3.
Winterwood Sandwick 3-seater, and for the others the standard bench supply 2. Not too known for it. Hyde Park seat. The other areas.
So just to confirm, that's option 4 for the cemetery,
Yes.
and then option 2 for the
8D.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
That's okay, that's fine. Translate it. And 8B.
That's emotional second now.
I just want to gauge, before we go to a motion on that, I just gauge consensus. Are you happy with that style? I do believe option 8D is the more traditional looking one.
Yeah.
It's quite a nice looking bench, traditional, and AB is a bit more funky and modern.
I must admit, looking at the picture of this, 8D, it's a bit cheap, mate.
Got 3 years.
It's only got a 3-year guarantee as well.
That's another valid point.
With
Whereas
the
the bench
8C.
before,
25.
25-year warranty.
Oh, yeah, but that's
Good point. Thank you, Joe, for being a small point as well. I mean, and if you want to put your cost saving exercise on there, if you have 4+ units at £290.
And this would get to the point of you buy like one from one person, one from another. You
Yeah.
You get a saving of multiple ones, and they've got much. Yes, they don't got. They do quite as nice.
They don't look quite as nice, but we
It's
got to worry about,
on being the suit.
yeah, it's a durability as well.
And
You've got to
robust as well.
So,
Sorry, just on the ATC or supply 3, that looked like a solid seat. Or what it's rated. Whereas 8D has got slats.
Downs, I think on the image you can't sell, but it's got 3 planks on the bottom as well. You can just about see it on the edge.
Yeah.
That's what it appears like. Seeing 3 planks on the bottom and 3 planks at the back.
Yeah, I don't know, but
I'll check that, Ed.
Okay.
But actually, 8, yeah, it's just a difference in the guarantee 25 years.
That's a significant difference though, isn't it? No. Short shot, may I amend my proposal? Yes, it is.
Go clear on what we're proposing.
So I approve the captain's treble seat, because that is traditional, but it has a long guarantee in the cemetery. And the Hyde Park seat for the others.
Just
Yes.
to clarify, I found the picture online of the captain's whatever seat,
Yeah.
and it's 4 slats on top.
Four
Yeah,
slats.
same. Yeah.
Okay, so that helps us that. There is an option, we could just all have a 1 from the 1 supplier as well. Cheaper. It would be cheaper,
They come part assembled.
yes.
I think you're right, it's cheaper, but I don't think we need to come to council where it's kind of down to bottom line, really. It's like what's fit for the town, what is attractive. We're not talking huge amounts. No, at all. So there's a difference of £20,000, and we have a discussion, but when it comes to things like this, I think we need to look at what fits, what's the best thing, how's it going to town attractive. And whatever the money is, it's not as though we don't have money, we should spend it back into the town.
That's a good point, Councillor Smith, and Councillor Kinnan will try and wrap this up.
How many are we getting? And what are the colour options? Because all this is in brown, but I understand the same one in blue. So clearly they do come in different options.
I didn't do that because last time I put coloured benches forward, which I thought were lovely, nobody else liked them, so I didn't put them on. Yeah, I think the decision by council when I put the coloured benches on was that they are more prone to sun fading.
Okay.
I think,
I like them, but it was.
Because it seems this one comes as a nice one. It doesn't pay it. Well, I
if we go to
can't remember where we got.
that one we were talking about, the cemetery.
No, not not pink.
Okay, so for the cemetery, I believe we're looking at 3, which if you're looking at the unit cost for 1 to 3, that's what it would be. It may be worth potentially getting an extra one if you want to make a saving and spare one, and then if you want for some other location, if you do get from benches. But the other players we're looking at 2, which would be option B. Yes, Councillor Lennon.
Super. There was a bench taken from Queen Square at the front, and I understood that it's going to be replaced. Are we replacing it, or like the ground where it was, needs some attention? The, footings aren't that right, but are we putting the bench back there, or?
So when I first started, so going back to last September, we removed a sort of like a fire bench in there. And we were going to put one in, but then there was some conversation amongst council, it would have been before you joined, about whether or not there were too many benches on Queen Square and whether actually we wanted to put many on there. So for that reason, it got left. So it's open to discussion at some point.
The last part of the conversation we had on that was we weren't going to replace the bench. We were trying to open more of the space, useful space on there.
There are quite a few benches on
There are
there.
quite a few benches on there already, and less is more on there at the moment. When we removed the planting pots on there, immediately it looks so much better. You know, it was cleaner, easier to maintain, better on there. Particularly a good job on the borders you do. So I think the feeling was, if you still feel the same way, it wasn't going to be replaced. This like okay.
Sorry, can I just?
Yes, sir, sorry.
When we had one of our first meetings at the play area in London Road, we talked about repositioning the benches that were there in the play area into the dog walking area. Are they still sufficient?
I've got that on here, but I want one for the dog walking area.
Yeah, so, but we were going to take the one that was actually in the play area.
Yeah, if that comes out without damage, we can do that.
We can repurpose it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So, yes, Debbie.
Because Sue wasn't there on Saturday, just I think for an next environment meeting, there was a lot of input from the dog walkers on Saturday. At
They took upon mass.
Yeah. So, and some really interesting things, you know, particularly seating and the mud and that. So perhaps if that could be an item on environment to discuss, you know,
As a chair's environment, that'd be good if we could do that.
Yeah. We'll speak. I want to get a debrief from Michelle.
So on the benches, we could say potentially 4 of those, or 3 of the C benches and a couple of the style D benches. That's 6.
4 of those benches.
Yeah.
Will cost £200 more than 3 of those benches.
Yeah. So it's not really like that. So what are we saying? We get the 3 for the cemetery or
No, 4.
the 4?
Yeah, because that fourth one's only £200
more, yeah. So 4 of those and 2 of the other style benches. Where are they for, sorry? One's for the dog walking area. It's going to be on London Road Pump, or Stephen called. And
One's for the
one's for the joint. Okay. Sorry, Councillor Ellis.
That's all right, it's all benches, but I was just wondering, how you're saying a square, you're not going to replace that bench. When will they remove that bench?
council, I was waiting for council to make a final decision. It was going to be discussed what councils wanted to do with the benches, and it was never revisited. So if the fence needs removing, we can remove it. It's never, a decision's never been made.
There is an option. Whilst we're on the subject of benches, we had this conversation about a rather bright memorial bench, a back bench for the 50 year. We were going to, the DE day, wasn't it? Just something like that. And we were going to repaint black. That might actually go there if it was black, and it's close to the memorial area. If it was black, which we can do, that would fit in keeping there, because that is our memorial site, isn't it? We have the office on the one side, that's where we
Yeah, that would be nice.
and we got the memorial on the other side. That might be the best location for that, because we are putting these other benches in the cemetery now.
Yeah, okay.
Councillors, okay for us to do that? Okay. But on this motion, 4 and 2. Yes, Councillor.
No, sorry.
Soon to get started.
Lead time.
This
They're
one.
all on there, I think.
No, they are.
If they're not on there, I'll put them on there. Basically, if they're on here, it's because I can get them quite quickly. If there was supplies that were
That's
out
fine. No, I just googled this one, and the first supplier I found said 18 weeks.
Yeah,
So
no, if they're on there, it would be because I
Maybe
found them quite
a
quickly.
supply problem. No, that's fine.
So are you happy to amend your proposal?
Yes.
To 4 and 2?
The 4 and 2.
4 of 8C, 2 of 8B for clarity. And Councillor Amy, you still happy to second
Yeah,
that?
I'm happy to second that.
Let's have a show of hands for approval. Done.
Before you move on, there's another part of my letter
Yes.
that says, now we have mowed the field at Decoy Common. Could we please have another one of the disabled accessible picnic benches to put a D for?
I think that's very much in keeping with where we've been as a council.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to propose that. Councillor Westby, Councillor Ellis second, and show of hands for approval. Thank you. So that's saying another picnic, disabled access picnic bench for the. Thank you. Okay, good. It's nice to see all these areas coming along. Okay, on to item 9, planning. 9A, and that is to ratify comments already made. Are there any queries or questions on those comments? If anyone would like to propose that we ratify them. Councillor Bond, Councillor Tyra, seconding, and a show of hands for approval. That's unanimous. On to 9B. I'll go through these. The first one on there, finishing 1007/0, as well as 0737/0, is a discharge of obligations for land south of Festival Road. It's a pretty historic one. You can tell that from the 2000 in the reference. So this is an old one, over 20 years old, discharge of conditions. Any comments, queries, objections? No objections. Next item, 0685/A, as well as I will include 0839A. They're both to do with advertising for the Huns England developments coming that side of West Carr and Carver's Lane and Blackpool Road. There's an advert to be placed for a couple of positions for the sites coming.
How long?
Sorry?
How large an advert?
It's in the planning permission. I would say that they stand probably a little taller than me, and they are probably, this is me looking at the picture and trying to translate it to you, probably as wide as this table. But one of them is, and stands probably 2 meters tall. The other one is a corner one, 2 of those panels together on the corner. Any objections? No. 0808 HOU, which is a single story rear extension from Croft Green. No objections. 0826/F, which is just this adjacent to this building, behind here. You'll see some railings on the old Barclays Bank building there, where they've made some apartments. They're looking to replace the railings with something that's more of a privacy screen looking into there. That's what it is. No objections? No. Okay, that concludes that part. On to item 10A, authorised payments. Any queries on the payments? No. If anyone would like to propose their acceptance. Councillor Montague, anyone will second that? Councillor McKinnon, and a show of hands for approval. That's unanimous. 10B, direct debits. Any questions? Anyone like to propose their acceptance? Councillor Tyra, Councillor Lane seconding, and a show of hands for approval. Huh?
Anne's been on holiday, so no, that all gets, that will be being rushed through today.
Yeah. That's our handback. Item 10C is to receive income. And queries. Anyone like to propose their acceptance? Councillor Montague, Councillor Bond, and show hands for approval. That's unanimous again. 10D is the income and expenditure June report for information. Are there any questions on the report? No. Okay, we will move on. Item 11, council reports. We don't have any district councillors here, so any reports from councillors? Gloucestershire, first of all.
Just quickly, it's the Act Care, we talked about healthcare, it's Act Care. I'm on their group, as a representative of the council. They are looking for additional funding to produce and publish and widely distribute the report that's coming, and we'll see that at the next, as you mentioned, we'll see that in the next town council meeting. What they're doing, and I'm mentioning this so that if people come to you, you'll understand what it's about. They're actually going to local businesses to try and find some funding to get this work done. Letters have gone out. It's a private charity, as you know, that care. So it's going out under Elizabeth Burrow's name, asking people for contribution. So we will most probably get the full picture and a better understanding of the costs the next council meeting. But just to let you know, if people say, oh, I got this letter, that's what's being done.
Do we know how much they're looking for?
Well, they had a look and they reckoned it was £2,000 they needed. They've already had money from ourselves and other parish councils and other businesses. Now that may be reduced because we're looking at the detail a little bit further. But that's what they're saying is needed.
Thank you. And just on that point, we're going to get a report from ATC, African Care Charity Group, and concluding the reports that they've had. This report, I will just give you a preface for it, is a time-sensitive document. It speaks something to where we are now, but it will expire over time, become less relevant. So we're very keen to work in the evidence going to produce the document that evidences the need for further improvements to healthcare provision within the town now and going forward, be used and put in the noses of the right people as much as possible who are influencers and decision makers on this. So we need to do that within a window, and that's where the publication notes are. I'm looking at helping reduce that cost by getting it ready for print-worthy design, but then we will be bringing that to council next month as part of the review, and hopefully I'll have a clearer picture. If there is any shortfall at all, what it would be just to get that to publish as quickly as possible.
And also, sorry, just once that does happen, also for people have in their minds where it would and could be the most effective in looking at the people who want this. That would be really useful for you to think about prior to.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Any other reports from councillors?
We had a SPAC meeting last week. I know a town council committee, but Debbie and I and Vera were there. That's the Safe and Neighbourhood Action Panels, the sort of priority setting that goes every 3 months. Police were there, representatives from Rockland Parish Council, Whitman Parish Council, and Great Ellingham, so we had quite a few councils there. We went through the previous priorities and we kept the existing same priorities, which are speeding within the town centre and within the surrounding villages, and increased police visibility in the town centre to try and prevent antisocial behaviour.
Thank you very much.
And that was about it. I've got copies of the notes here if anybody wants to.
And thank you for distributing those to us earlier as well. Thank you. No? Okay. Correspondence 12A. This has two parts to a request for the use of a recreation ground for exercise classes. It's a boot canvas for exercise class. Who's ever mad enough to sign up to these things? And it's in two parts. The first part of the request is, can they use the recreation ground to run exercise classes, which historically we've always favoured. The second part of this is, can we provide any facilities for storage of equipment or a place to put a container? The container, in light of issues that we've had with containers, is probably a no. Okay, with the planning, we're already we got a little bit of license on that, so we won't be pushing that any further. I would suggest to the council with our position. And I don't know of any storage options we have ourselves that can facilitate that. Maybe further.
Could we ask the football club? They've got any space.
Or scouts.
Or scouts.
You could point them towards them.
Is it all linked together? To do stuff with kids, for instance, younger generation, so the health and fitness and what have you. There's a bit of. And the same with football club, there's a link there between fitness and everything else, so that's the conversation. But I think you're right in terms of we've got a container on there. It's, I don't think that'll fly, but I think perhaps, who the groups they would like to talk with or get involved with in terms of promoting it, and then just say, I don't know how much kit we've got.
No, it doesn't specify.
So,
in principle, what we're saying is,
instead of both,
maybe not pushing it that far. The principle is yes, we'll go to proposal, and we recommend they approach the football club and all the scouts about potential storage.
Yeah, if we can help facilitate that.
Yeah.
Just a quick question, maybe this has been discussed, I missed it, sorry. Are we charging them for using the recreation ground if they're running a paying business?
We have never done so. We've had people who do fitness training and all sorts, athletics groups and everything else to use our grounds. We've never charged them for exercise outside, as we feel it's along with the healthy lifestyle living that we're trying to promote as a council, and that's what the green spaces is for.
Sorry, just another point, another advantage talking to the football club is football club will tell
That's
so we can have that discussion of okay, what's available, how will it work.
So we can facilitate that. Yes,
Charging or otherwise, I'm aware that some, certainly within London, the Royal Parks charge personal finance to do it. A lot outside of London people don't tend to. I'm just conscious of this could escalate into lots and lots of different personal finance taking over the parks, in theory. So could we specify what they are / are not allowed to do, areas they can / can't use? Or is it a bit?
That's such a very good point. We haven't got a policy per se on that. We could probably do something along those lines.
Also checking things like that they've got PLI, because what we don't want is they're running a group, they have an accident on our land, and suddenly people are not going to solicitors town council. Little things like that, just to be cautious of.
Can we make a note of these
Yeah.
points? Because it's good we're having a discussion, you raise the points, and we go have a look at action this. So you're happy as a council that we can ask the clerk, as and when she's available, to look at options for policy, but also ensure that those who use our facilities with our permission have got the appropriate.
Don't we do that anyway? If we give them permission to
We do,
go on
yeah.
there, then we do look at have we got appropriate. Yeah.
Yeah, we do, yeah. So I think, sorry, we do.
But we should formalise that, actually.
Okay. So, in principle, would someone like to propose acceptance? As long as we've fulfilled our due diligence to ensure that they are able to. Yes. Okay. Councillor. Yeah. Okay. Councillor Montague, and anyone want to second that? Councillor Tyrant, and a show of hands for approval. And then, of course, we can point them in the right direction for the second part. That request. I'll take this on a slightly different order of shifting. I don't think there is any paperwork for item 12B, which is a request from mine to use access for free mental health support.
No, they didn't. They actually came in person with all their ID and everything, and they are currently doing drop-in clinics from the Methodist Church, which isn't working for them so well, I think, in terms of location and space they've got. And they wanted to know if they could potentially do some sessions from here. So what that means is that they would have a billboard outside, just labelled outside saying that they're here, people will be able to come in and speak, and they would offer, if you need to, one-to-one counselling and things, and this is all free of charge through the charity. They're obviously a countrywide charity, they're one of the biggest mental health charities. So I said that I would look forward to council. My thoughts were that they could use the West Wing upstairs if it was vacant. And I just said, you know, it would have to be a time that worked around all bookings, but they seem to be quite flexible because what they want is the football, and they think they get more football here.
Any questions?
Yeah,
go for it.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Really good idea.
And particularly in light of COVID and everything else that's happening in the world at the moment.
It is a public building
Yeah.
that we should be promoting for future.
So there's a proposal from Councillor Westby in favour. Anybody like to second that? Councillor Myron, and show of hands for approval. That's unanimous. Thank you. 12D. Now we've got some information in here, but not quite all the proposal. So I'm going to hand the time over to Charles. Because the grass maintenance. Maintenance. I'll see. Sorry, let's see. Sorry. Sorry. C, which is a request coming from the Christmas Wine Committee, and in light of an earlier conversation, we will need to clarify what it is we want. Sorry, yes, Councillor Rose.
This Jeremy.
It's live streamed. You could go in there and watch.
Yeah.
Jerry,
And you sit there. Sit there. Yeah, you got your.
Come on. Okay, that's fine. Obviously, Joe, you're not able to participate in the conversation, but you know that. Okay. Right.
I'm saying that.
Okay, here we go. So we have the set there. Okay. We need to clarify what it is we're looking for as a town council. Because my impression from the debates and discussions at our last meeting was, please correct me if I'm wrong, we wanted to disconnect the council control from what is a charitable group like what we've done with fireworks, because otherwise we have to do more due diligence and we end up muddying the waters between what is a separate fund to what the council is doing. And so like the fireworks, they ask for a certain amount of money, which we can debate over and agree upon as a council. And the conversation I believe that we had last time was that we as a council agreed that the Christmas light committee could approach town council for a sum of money, which would then be debated as council, and they would be the people who independently appoint the contractors without interference from the council. They would be the people who take care of the running of the lights without interference from the town council, albeit with the cooperation of the electric supply with a couple of the necessities and the conditions needed. So that's what my understanding was. Was the right to believe in that?
Yes. That's certainly my understanding.
Councillor Smith.
This sort of request, £12,000 was a significant cost for the lights. We don't know I don't know what the significant cost is. I think having some sort of figures that tell us over the last couple of years what the cost have been will tell us more about whether we're able to remind that visible.
That's also a very good point. Councillor Rain.
I think like how the fund question is, they came to us and said this year it's going to cost 6,000, and we decided to give them 3,000, which was in line with what we've done in previous years. We've given them 50% of the overall cost, but they knew when they came here that this year's, because they're going bigger and better, it's going to cost them 6,000, so we gave them proportionately the same amount. So, well, we all want to support the Christmas lights. What I was expecting to see was a figure from the Christmas lights committee saying, we would like this contribution, which is 50% of our costs, 75% of our costs, or whatever. And as you said, separating us from leaving them to do what they want with money.
I think we've learned a lesson over the years that we want the council to be community led rather than council controlled. When we allow the community to lead out on things, it generally works a lot better than us trying to get involved in stuff that we know very little about at times. I think we need to approach this in two parts. We would need to have a proposal confirming what it is, and also we would need to also clarify what we expect from them in their proposal to consider as well. So, Councillor Mann.
Can I just say that I think this is something we should support because it does bring a lot of football into the town. And if there's any way we can support it and help them, it's been a hell of an expense. They've had to replace all the light bulbs over the last few years, and that, they've had to buy new lights all the time. It's more than that. I appreciate that. What I would like to ask though is, would the council still be willing to cover the electric costs?
I would have said that needs to be a separate proposal,
That does,
but
yeah.
certainly my understanding would be that the council may wish to consider the electric.
Do we know historically what the electric cost was for this? Have you got any idea?
Whatever historically was, it'd be a lot more now. Especially
That's
the
true,
front
3 times as much as what it is last year.
And deals with the utilities. I've certainly emailed round some figures that might be helpful on that.
Okay.
And I think for this year, you'd probably be looking at whatever they were last year, plus 30%.
I was going to say more, because it's gone up 51% so far. It's going up in October and then in January. It's supposed to come down in April, but I don't believe that.
And hopefully some of the government has a good sense to stop the electric charge in connecting with gas charge. But that's a different conversation altogether. Sorry, yes.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think we established that we want to have some idea of what they say the costs are, but I also think we need to have something more than just a figure, maybe a breakdown, or even better what it's cost in the past. So we've got something to compare it to.
I think let's do this in order so we don't lose ourselves in the conversation. The first part of this was, as I started the conversation, we as a council are happy to support the Christmas lights, but we are asking the Christmas lights to put a proposal of cost, or a donation request to the council towards the cost of the Christmas lights. Are we happy with that wording? Yeah. Is that clear enough? Okay, so it's a contribution towards the cost. Okay. If anyone would like to second a proposal on that,
No, that's what it's always been in the past. Anyway.
it has always been in the past. We're not divorcing ourselves.
No.
So, Councillor Westby second, and we'll have a show of hands for approval. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Was that approval, abstention, or abstention? Abstention. Okay. Right. The second part of this is to do with, shall we say, the proposal that we are asking the Christmas lights to bring a breakdown of the costs that they're asking us to contribute, plus a contributing total, and possibly a request for the electric be paid for by the council. Yes.
Can I suggest we split that? Leave the electric into a third one.
Okay.
But my concern of that wording is it kind of contradicts statements made previously of we don't want to be involved in start governing charitable groups in terms of what we're spending the money on, give them
That's
a
a good point.
breakdown, and we can say, we need some quotes on, because inevitably that's where the discussion will go. If you go into, it's items A, B, C, D, F. Have you got any quotes? Right, don't get some quotes. So I think there's got to be an element of trust. I think an easy way to do it is the overall cost for the whole Christmas lights over the duration, plus testing, plus everything, storage per year is X. We would like a percentage of this. These are the reasons why. And we know costs have gone up with the improvements. What you spend it on is entirely up to you. It's your business. I'm just concerned that detail of
Okay,
what's
that's
spent
fine.
on.
I'll withdraw the electric.
So do that, and then the electric, I think, you know, we've always done it historically. And again, I think we need to have an understanding. Do we continue that? It's yes, no, and we do know that the cost will go up, and this is what it's likely to be.
I was just going to say, just to be fair to the Christmas Light Committee and not make them sort of go away doing additional work, they have already given us an estimate of what their costs are going to be this year. So they gave us 2 quotes to look at in last full council, which were around 14,000. No, Joe's not actually allowed to speak. Which were allowed 14,000. So those quotes include all the electrician costs, which includes the testing and the storage. So it would only be if there's additional costs like bulb replacement, but that we at least we know roughly what your electrician.
So that is on
costs are.
record, and what we can ask is the clerk to report to councillors for their outing. But yes, on that one part, then we're asking them to come with a proposal, which just gives us some detail, as specified by councillors, and ask for a contribution. Yes,
I
councillor.
just building on what Councillor Torres said, I think we have to be very careful not to start governing council groups in the town. And asking for a detailed breakdown, that could, you could be asking for a detailed breakdown with specific quotes. But I think they would be better off just saying to us, we'd like this much because last year this is what it cost us, this is what it cost us for this. Because they can't really at the moment. And we don't want to know specifics. It's up, as Councillor Torres said, it's up to them how they spend their money. But justification for the figure they've come to is based on the fact that last year they spent this percentage of their budget on lighting, this percentage on. We don't need to know the specific suppliers. We don't need to know any of that. It's up to them.
Just
an indication
some evidence,
of
some
how that
evidence.
figure, how they got to that figure.
Yeah. I was never saying that I think we should have all the level of detail, but I think we're talking a substantial amount of public money, and rather than just hand over a big wad of money, we need to know.
So just to clarify it again, sorry, no, I was like, this is going to get the wording right on this. So we are inviting the Christmas Light Committee to make a proposal to the council using or evidenced, asking for a contribution from the council. If that's about as brief as I can put it. Yes?
It's just some justification, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Okay. Councillor SP, is that?
Just very briefly, in terms of the electric charge, I mean, we pay the electric bill anyway. It would seem sensible that that's then factored in. We can have a rough idea of how much the electric costs are.
We can come to that on next. We get this proposal and then we'll make that good conversation. So is anybody seconding that proposal? Councillor Tyra, show of hands for approval. Yes, that's everyone here. And then finally on the electric, I would suggest that we ask the clerk to have a look at the historical data of the electric costs in the past and forward it to council in preparation for the proposal.
Can I just ask a question then about the electric?
Yes.
Because there are lights all around town, it should have been all been funded from the town.
I presume so.
Unless we've got very long extensions.
So I know from Councillor Ellis that there are sometimes some private people that do it. And
Right. Because I've seen the lights over and over again, and I never thought where it's gone from.
Yeah. We will clarify that point. Sorry, Joe, but we will clarify that point to council as well as part of what we do. Yeah. So rather than the proposal for the electric at this stage, we're just going to get the information to make an informed decision at some point in the future. Okay. Are we happy with that?
Not really, because But then again, I can't say anything, can I? I can inform you that we cannot pay for people to come and look at the lights for the money. Funfest, Carnival, charge to go into the rec. We don't charge people. We can't.
But as a charity, you can have events.
Yeah, we do.
You can run events, yeah.
do. And as Councillor Leslie knows, he donates. He has done in the past 2-3 years. And other businesses.
Sorry.
There is one thing. In the last 5 years that we've been doing that, the lights up until then were 30 years old and they were being repaired again and again. Now we've got them near enough the stage that they don't have to be repaired because they're all new. And actually, the electric bill should now come down because every bulb is LED.
That's
And
an
they're
interesting
all
point.
between 1 and 1.5 watts.
Thank you, John. I've allowed you to say, because you know what, it's in the interest of council to be aware of this, so thanks very much. Councillor Lennon.
Yeah, I was just going to say, yes, like the Christmas lights committee can do fundraising now, but even the fundraising, the amount they raise doesn't go.
Well, I don't think anyone here suggested that, Joan, Peter, you need to know, we want to help support this event. There isn't any suggestion here whatsoever that the council won't put something towards this. I can't determine that because as an individual council, it's not in my license to do so. What I will say is the council will carefully consider any proposal that appears, recognising the good and advice we've put into it. Michelle,
I just want to clarify this paragraph here.
which one is that?
This paragraph down, or 4 paragraphs down. Because I think that's quite relevant as an officer, that if the route that is gone down is for the Christmas lights to make a request for a donation, and for us to then donate that money for them to do what they wish freely, then it's not appropriate for all invoices and payments to go through the town council when we haven't done any of our own due diligence or tender process.
I honestly don't think under our fiscal rules we can actually do that going forward. With the new policies that we have on that, we couldn't do that.
I just wanted to clarify that element of the
Yeah,
letter.
we've been breach about purchase and procurement process policy, we do that. As a charity, register for VAT. It's, you know, I would recommend you do that because you get that sum back as well. And give you license to do that. But with our fiscal rules that we have as a council, without going through the tender process all the time, we take it over the reins. We couldn't just do it the other way. Okay. Shall we call that one? So at the moment, I feel the decision is, in light of the motion to be passed, is we'll get a bit more information, and if a proposal could be put together in light of the motions this evening, we will consider it. And hopefully at our next meeting. Okay. 12D. Football club. So I'm hoping it's all the wrong order today. So. Right. And this is the grass culture maintenance plan. And am I right in saying they're asking for support and applying for the application?
Yeah, so the football club, I haven't looked at this in great detail, the football club have, and they believe that they may be eligible for a grant across both sites of up to £10,000 to help with pitch restoration, pitch maintenance, etc. They are not able to apply for the grants in their own right because they're not the landlord, and the landlord has to be involved in the grant application, or the landowner has to be involved in the grant application. So they are asking if we would support them by assisting them with applying for this grant.
Any questions? That's fine.
From my point of view, the answer is obviously yes, we would support them. What we mean by assisting the.
It has to have the details of the landowner, so you can't apply for a
Okay,
grant.
what I'm
if you
saying,
don't own the land.
okay, what I'm saying is they're not asking you to put the application together.
They're asking if we'll put our name to it.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I was just saying like, there's the application form.
Yeah.
I think what it's asking.
Am I gonna have to do all the work?
Yeah, right, okay,
So, yeah,
no. It's when you said assist, it's like, no.
No, assist as in will we put our name to it
Oh,
and,
yeah,
and
yeah.
happily say that, you know, we're applying, but
No,
they'll do the
no.
work.
Proposed for support.
The second, show of hands for approval. I like you when it goes through that. Thank you very much. I know we have to debate these things, but that's a bit of a no-brainer. Okay, item 13, public participation. Get everybody off.
With regards to recreation ground,
Yeah.
County Council has already had sight of the original framed bylaws that were put in on the recreation ground in 25, I think it was 1925, 26. Are they relevant to your ongoing thoughts about how the recreation can be used in the future, and do they still apply?
The simple answer is yes, I have had one of those. When I initially went through them, and very kindly supplied them to us, I didn't see any conflicts in the existing use of them, as many of the things are historic anyway. And there's nothing that we're planning to do on the recreation ground which goes outside of the current usage. We're not planning to do anything more with the site than we are currently doing. There may be, like with the skate park or the wheel park, an improvement over existing facilities, but we aren't looking to fundamentally change what's been done on the recreation ground. We're certainly not going to put a supermarket on this. Don't worry.
Or graze your sheep on there?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, no, we're not planning.
So it's just a reminder that, you know, you have got those, and whether they are relevant, ongoing discussion is another thing.
Okay.
The only other small thing is I did go on to Town Council's website to look at tonight's meeting. Got the agenda, but I didn't have any, got any sight of any support.
I don't know what to say. Anne has gone on holiday and her presence has been somewhat noted, so I do apologise.
That's all right.
I am not used to doing the packs, and I've sort of put everything together as best I can, but I do apologise.
We can certainly get.
I'll pick up on everything tonight.
I'll get them on there.
Okay. Any other items? I was going to mention about care for next month, but I've already done that. Just thank everybody involved in the work that we're doing on these projects going forward. It's nice to see some real progress. Other things that we will be discussing in future as these projects go on. But yes, well, thank you for that. I mean, that's about it. We call the meeting to a close. Okay. 10 minutes to spare.